me know.
We are live.
Yay. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, beloved souls. We're so grateful to be here with you this morning. I am going to pop onto our Facebook page and find you here. Yay, here we are. We're live on our Brentwood Inspired Living Center Facebook page. I'm so grateful to be here. It's truly a blessing to be sharing time together on Sunday mornings. Welcome into our sacred space. I'm looking for you as I do each week. I've got my phone right here so that I can check in with you and see who's logging into Facebook Live with us. Please do me a favor once you're here. Let me know that you're here, that you can see us and hear us. Also, if you turn on your notifications in your Facebook settings, you'll get the ping each Sunday that we've gone live. So that makes it a little bit easier for you to find us. Good morning, Dennis. I'm so glad you're back on Facebook. Yay. Hi, Peggy. Nice to see you here. That would probably be Peggy and Jean. We're so glad you're here. Who else is here? Let me know. Give me a heart. Give me a thumbs up. I'm so grateful that you're tuning in with us. You have found your way to our Sunday morning Facebook Live at Brentwood Inspired Living Center. And we are thankful, very, very thankful for your presence here. Yay, Jan's here. Nancy's here. Good morning. Yay. This is the fun part where we all join together. My name is Amy Van Ling, and I'm the spiritual director here at Brentwood Inspired Living Center. We are a compassionate, supportive community welcoming all people of all faiths, all spiritual paths, and we are really glad that you are here joining us this morning. We are delighted to have Matthew Fox with us today, sharing a message from his brand new book, Julian of Norwich, Wisdom in a Time of Pandemic and Beyond. Perfect, timely. Julian of Norwich lived through the bubonic plague, and we look forward to soaking in all the wisdom today. We are so very blessed and honored by your presence with us this morning, Matthew. Thank you for choosing to share time with us. We're grateful, so very grateful.
Thank you. It's good to be worshiping with you again, and I look forward to our time together.
Us too. Thank you. Thank you. We have our John Shinn. He's here to share his spirit and heart through his musical talent. John, your open heart and your warmth is such a gift to us, and we thank you so very, very much for being here with our community.
It's a blessing to be with you all always. Thank you.
Part of our family. We appreciate you. And Ron Vieira is here with us this morning. He's going to share our selected inspirational reading, which is always related in alignment to our monthly theme. And this month, our theme is wholeness. And he'll lead us in our blessing of abundance this morning. We're so thankful for you sharing so compassionately with our community, Ron. We love you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Hello, hello. Greetings, everybody, this bright and beautiful morning. I see you all logging in with us. Yay, exciting. Good morning, Katie. Good morning, Paris and David and Faith and Phoebe. So happy to see you all here with us. This morning, I was just going about my morning. You know, I do a lot of talking to God all day, a lot of praying. I'm always in prayer. You know, thank you for this running water. Thank you for these eyes I can see with. And yesterday, and so I was thinking, yesterday I went to my first gender reveal. You know, every generation has new things. So with new babies coming, they do this gender reveal now. So my niece is having a girl. We found out they do this popper and all the pink confetti comes out, and so I was just so grateful. And so I was I take a conscious time to also be still and listen, since I'm always talking to God. And this morning I was just feeling into the love vibration of this community, and I was remembering the first time it really struck me that we are love, that we're loving beings, and that we've only just forgotten or forget sometimes. And I remember reading that message, and it was the first time I heard that message in that way. And it was in the book, Return to Love. And it was in the, I think it was the late 90s, 97-ish, I think I read it. And that was Marianne Williamson's book. And so I was appreciating and having this time of gratitude this morning and listening for messages. And it was like a spark that was ignited in me at that time with that information. So the message I was feeling into was that it's so beautiful when we're reading something, reading a story, reading an idea, an inspiration, which can potentially, change the course of life. And so I'm so thrilled to read Matthew's new book, Julian of Norwich, Wisdom in a Time of Pandemic and Beyond. Last year when Matthew was here, he briefly mentioned Julian of Norwich. He just kind of skimmed by it in his talk. And I remember really just kind of clutching onto it. And I did all this research on her, and I was just she's such a mystic. And then so when I heard that the book was written, I was so excited. So I'm going to get copies. And if you would like a copy, please let me know, and I'll bring you a copy when I see everybody on May 8th. So let me know. You can email me or let me know here in the feed. Welcome in, everybody. Gloria, it's nice to see you. Dawn, I'm so happy you're here. Good morning, Luwinda. Yay. See everybody logging in with us. Welcome in. If you're new to our community, we'd love to hear from you. Please send us an email, leave us a comment. We love to connect. If you're watching the replay during the week, welcome. We're glad you're here. We're glad you're tuning in, whenever that is. Thank you for being here with us this morning. So just a quick announcement, our Monday group is taking a short break for right now. This coming next week, May 5th, Pat McKelly will be offering her new small group. It's going to be in the evening. It sounds absolutely transformational. I will post all the information here on this Facebook page and in our connection group today. So you can find that information, and also contact Pat if you would like more details about that. It's going to be really exciting, and an evening group. So we haven't had an evening group in a while. So that's a great option. Good morning, everybody. I'm so happy to see everybody logging in here. We're going to go ahead and get started. And so I will keep my phone right here, and I'll see you joining us and see your names and beautiful faces. So I invite you right now just to drop into your heart as you feel into our mission statement. We are an open, heart-centered, spiritual community, honoring the one presence within us. We welcome all to connect, grow, and expand in wisdom, compassion, and love. And I'm going to hand the screen over now to Ron for our inspirational reading this morning. Thank you so much, Ron, for being with us and sharing.
Thank you, Amy. Good morning, everyone. Good morning on this beautiful day in anticipation of rain. Thank God for some rain. And so here we are. The theme, as we know, for the month of April has been on wholeness. And today, in harmony with Matthew's presentation and with his extensive study on the mystics of the West, I'm going to share some passages from Meister Eckhart. Meister Eckhart was a 13th century mystic, prophet, feminist, social activist, charismatic speaker, and a writer of much regard. So I'm going to share three themes that I think are very interconnected and integral to wholeness: letting go, compassion, and love. Letting go. Meister Eckhart writes. Oh, I need my glasses. Hold on. Now it's better. Okay. There, where clinging to things ends is where God begins to be. There, where clinging to things ends is where God begins to be. For the person who has learned letting go and letting be, no creature can any longer hinder. Rather, each creature points you towards God and towards new birth and towards seeing the world as God sees the world, transparently. So letting go and letting be. On compassion, Meister Eckhart writes, in compassion, justice, and peace kiss. We have to run into peace. We do not begin in peace. What is born of God seeks peace and runs into peace. The person who runs and runs, continually running towards peace, is a heavenly person. Even the heavens are continually running, and in their running are seeking peace. He writes, the fullest work that God ever worked in any creature is compassion. The most secret and forbidden work that God has ever worked on the angels was carrying them into compassion. This is the work of compassion, as it is in itself and as it is in God. Whatever God does, the very first outburst is always compassion. He writes, I do not mean that God forgives a person his sins or that a person takes pity on another. No, I mean much, much more. I mean that the highest work that God ever works is compassion. And thirdly, love. Love will never be anywhere except where equality and unity are. Between a master and his servant, there is no peace, for there is no real equality. And there can be no love where love does not find equality, or where love is not busy creating equality. Nor is there any pleasure without equality. So practice equality in human society. Learn to love, esteem, consider all people, all creatures like yourself. What happens to another, be it good or bad, be it joy or sorrow, ought to be as if it happened to you. And so, letting go and letting be, compassion, deep compassion, and love, essential aspects and facets of our wholeness, of our human journey on the planet. And so it is.
Thank you so much, Ron, for that share. Wow. Whew. Feel that. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to hand the screen over to John right now for our first song this morning. Thank you so much, John.
Thank you, Amy. As I was contemplating messages of wholeness today, a little message from Karen Drucker came through, and so I'm going to share this familiar song and invite you all to sing along, if you will, because there's something about repeating these words that makes us whole. I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful, I am so blessed. I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful, I am so blessed. We are so blessed, we are so blessed, we are so grateful for all that we have. We are so blessed, we are so blessed, we are so grateful, we are so blessed.
One of my favorites. I love that, the repetition, it just brings you into this soothing vibration.
It
Thank you.
does.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, John, so much. We appreciate you. Okay, Ron, I'm going to hand the screen back over to you this morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. So let us take a deep breath together and sink into our heart. Sink more deeply into our heart center right here, right now, the precious breath of life. And together we affirm our abundance and our prosperity. We come together today and we open our hearts and our minds to the one spirit, the light, infinite mind, knowing that there is only truly one power and one life, and that is the life of spirit. We affirm that we are one with spirit, and there is no one and nothing that is separate from this oneness, this unity of being. We are one with that infinite mind that has created all that is. We know the divine qualities of serenity, of abundance, of wisdom, of love, of power are already within each of us, and we consciously embrace these divine qualities now. We go forth in the truth of who and what we are, saying yes to our love, our harmony, our well-being, our sense of order, our abundance. We affirm that our beloved community's consciousness is expanding beyond our wildest dreams and imaginings. We are dynamically moving, co-creating, and changing with confidence, unanimity, and joy. We step forward with love and anticipation, fully supporting our amazing expansion in consciousness through and with our time, our talents, our treasures. And with the deepest, sincerest gratitude, we accept this transformation of consciousness for ourselves, for our community, for all of humanity, for all of creation. We affirm that it is done, and we give thanks, and we completely release this prayer and surrender. We let it go, and we allow spirit, mysterious spirit, to do its perfect work. We completely deepen our trust, and we let spirit do its perfect work in the universe. And so now it is done. And I have some announcements to make on behalf of our community. So excuse me here as I juggle this. Okay, please continue to join all of our friends and our entire community on Sunday mornings on our Facebook Live, just as we do every Sunday at 10 o'clock, along with our exceptional speakers and musicians. Please invite your friends and share our service with all who may be interested. Join us on Sundays after service at 11:30. Now, sometimes some of our speakers conduct a workshop, so the workshops are offered on some Sundays. On other Sundays, in the absence of workshop, it's an opportunity for us to connect as a community, to share, to listen to one another, to give and to receive love and support. So please join us at 11:30. Stay connected with us by visiting our website, our Facebook connection, read our weekly connection announcements, which are sent to each of us on our emails on Wednesdays. And I want to add, please reach out to those people that are not on the internet, that are not connected at all to the internet. Let us reach out to them, phone them, visit them, let them know that you're thinking about them. This is part of deepening our interconnectedness as a community. Join with others in our weekly small groups. Starting in May, 2 new books are going to be featured. Jan's group, which happens to be on Tuesdays from 1 to 3, will be reading a book entitled Mosaic by Daniel Bruce Levin. And apparently he will be one of our speakers in the month of July. Karen Karen's group, which meets on Thursdays from 11 to 12:30, will be offering the book entitled Braving the Wilderness by Brené Brown. And let's see if there's anything else. I do also want to add, which I omitted, and I just want to add this, that as we know, we're undergoing a profound change as a community. And so we're encouraging one another to contribute towards our expansion project. So please join our community in offering either one time or monthly a donation, a generous donation in the spirit of our expansion. We're planting the seeds of a beautiful, beautiful environment that someday will be part of our physical center. But in our hearts, we hold our community with love and appreciation. So let us continue to foster that sense of expansion. And then the last announcement is to please join us on Friday mornings at 10 o'clock for 10 minutes. And what we do is we conduct this in silence. It is our way of cultivating our garden of consciousness as we continue to cultivate expansion in our lives. And so it is.
Oops, it wouldn't unmute me. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Ron. I appreciate you so much. And also just a reminder that Pat is starting a new group as well, May 5th, and that is Reclaiming Your Personal Power as a Being of Light. And I just posted some information in the feed on that. So lots of great stuff going on around here. If I do say so myself. I love this community. Can you tell? Thank you, Ron. We appreciate you. I'm going to hand the screen back over to John now.
Well, as I was contemplating messages on wholeness, it's not surprising that some great female songwriters came through. And so this one by Kate Wolf. Give yourself to love. What better way to be whole? Kind friends all gathered round. There's something I would say, that what brings us together here has blessed us all today. Love is made a circle that holds us all inside, where strangers are as family and loneliness can't hide. So give yourself to love, if love is what you're after. Open up your heart to the tears and laughter, and give yourself to love. Give yourself to love. I walk these mountains in the rain, learn to love the wind. I've been up for the sunrise just to watch the day begin. Always knew I'd find love, though I never did know how. But like sunshine on a cloudy day, you stand before me now. So give yourself to love, if love is what you're after. Open up your heart to the tears and laughter, and give yourself to love. Give yourself to love. Love is born in fire. It's planted like a seed. Love can't give you everything, but it gives you what you need. Love comes when you're ready. Love comes when you're afraid. It'll be your greatest teacher, the best friend you've ever made. So give yourself to love. Love is what you're after. Open up your heart to the tears and laughter and give yourself to love. Give yourself to love. Just give yourself to love. If love is what you're after, open up your heart to the tears and laughter and give yourself to love. Give yourself to love.
Oh, so sweet. Just sweet essence. Thank you. Thank you, John. There was, Paris had said, we sound great together, John, because we're all singing together with you.
Oh, come to the concert, Paris. We'll have more opportunity to do that.
Exactly. Jennifer says, thank you, John, for bringing such a sweet vibration through the simplicity of such a powerful and transformational song. It's a meditation. Yeah. Thank you. We appreciate you so much. Excuse me.
Thank you.
Thank you both, John and Ron, for bringing this space that we are holding into such a beautiful, harmonious energy. We feel the love activated and we are so grateful. So much love, so much appreciation to both of you. I know I'll see you here on the other side, on the Facebook side. Mwah. Blessings.
Blessings. Welcome back.
Yeah, great. Wonderful. Yay. So happy to be here. I see all of you tuning in with us. I'll keep my phone right here. We are just, we couldn't be more excited. Matthew Fox is here with us today. Matthew always brings a profound and poignant message, and we're so blessed, so very blessed. Thank you for being here with us today, Matthew. It is our pleasure, our delight. We are so very grateful. I'm going to read you Matthew's bio so that you can get to know Matthew a little bit better. If you don't know him already, wonderful human being that he is. Reverend Matthew Fox, PhD, author, theologian, and activist priest, has been calling people of spirit and conscience into the creation spirituality lineage for over 50 years. His 38 books, lectures, retreats, and innovative education models have ignited an international movement to awaken people to be mystics and prophets, contemplative activists who honor and defend the earth and work for justice. His recent projects include Order of the Sacred Earth, Daily Meditations with Matthew Fox, and a certificate program in leadership and the creation spirituality tradition. His most recent book is Julian of Norwich, Wisdom in a Time of Pandemic and Beyond. And you can find more about Matthew at matthewfox.org. We are so, so grateful to have your presence with us today. I'm going to pray us in, and then I'm going to hand the screen over to Matthew for our Sunday message. I invite you to enter in with a deep inhale of love and gratitude. I invite you into this moment, into this space, into my heart, into the heart of God. So, so grateful to be here now. We breathe in this gratitude, this union. We enter into this magnificence of the one power and the one presence, and how beautiful it is to just lean in and know that we are one with this high, holy energy, this quantum field, the Spirit of God. We bless Matthew Fox today, and we are opening our hearts, knowing that the message moves through him, and it is our gift to receive. And we do, in such gratitude. I release this word into the great expanse for love for all, and so it is. Amen, Ashe, Namaste. Thank you, Matthew, for being with us. I'm going to hand the screen over to you now this morning. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Amy. Good to be with you and with Ron and with John. I was glad that Ron invoked Meister Eckhart, because Ron was with us a couple summers ago in Erfurt, Germany, in the very church where Eckhart lived and worked for 8 years. And it was my privilege to teach Eckhart in that space, and Ron was a part of our community there. And then I want to thank John for his songs. I couldn't help but that last song about entering into love fits the theme of Julian of Norwich so well, because at the end of her book, and Julian was, by the way, was the first woman to write a book in English ever. And her book has 2 titles to it. One is Showings, because it's based on a weekend of showings of images that she received, messages she received. And but she also names the book Revelations of Divine Love, Revelations of Divine Love. And at the end, she says this, she says, "It was said to me, do you wish to see clearly your Lord's meaning in these showings? See it well. Love was your Lord's meaning. Who showed it to you? Love. What did you see? Love. Why was it shown? For love." So I think the theme that John picked for that second song is very on target. Now, John Lewis, in his beautiful farewell letter that he wrote the week he was dying to the young people, in one of his statements in that book, he said, "Be sure to study history, because truth does not change." And by that, I think he means a kind of truth that geniuses like Julian of Norwich uncover for us. And so our turning to Julian, who lived in the 14th century, she was born in 1342, died in 1415 or thereabouts. She was 7 years old when the bubonic plague hit, as Amy alluded to. And so that makes her an amazing figure for our time of pandemic. The bubonic plague killed between 1 out of 2 and 1 out of 3 people in Europe. I mean, it was horrible. And of course, at that time, they didn't have the science we have. They didn't have promises of vaccines or even any explanation of where it came from. And a lot of people went berserk, actually. There's a whole club of flagellants who went around beating themselves, men who went from village to village beating themselves because they said, oh, it's our sins that has brought about the plague. It's our sins. And this became such a popular thing to do, such a big club, that the Pope had to intervene and say, no, that's not going to rid us of the plague. Don't go down that rabbit hole. But a lot of people did. And another bad response was blaming others, scapegoating, chasing heretics, and anti-Semitism rose tremendously at that time for that very reason. Many Jews had to flee England. And of course, Norwich is in England. And but Julian, again, there's not an ounce of anti-Semitism, not an ounce of heresy blaming in her book. And her book, she actually wrote 3 versions of it: a short version shortly after her visions, and then in mid-age, a longer version, and then toward the end of her life, even a longer version. So it's clear she was editing the book her whole life long. And as she says, she actually said that she's unpacking the many layers of it. It's like a very rich dream that you live with it for a while, and then you get more mature, you have more experience of life, and even more truths come out of examining that dream. Well, that was the same with Julian and her showings. Now, now Mirabai Starr is a friend of mine, and she translated Julian's book in contemporary fashion recently, and it's a very good book. She and I taught a 7-week course on Julian, by the way, with Shift Network. You could probably join it at some time because they video those things and make it available. And it was a very exciting class. And Mirabai believes that Julian lost a child and a husband during the pandemic, which first of all makes sense because 1 out of 2, 1 out of 3 people died. But also she senses, because she lost a child, and she senses that kind of tragedy in, it's an intuition she has in Julian's writing. So that one of the first lessons Julian teaches us is don't run from from suffering, that there's something there to learn. And her first vision was of Christ on the cross, but she does not over-personalize this. And she talks about how Christ represents all of our suffering, every being's suffering, all humans who suffer and other beings too. It's really a very Buddhist insight on Julian's part. The Buddhists say that, all beings suffer. And of course, it's true. So that's one of her first teachings about living through a pandemic. Don't go into denial. And I would translate that as wear your mask. A pretty practical translation, but yeah, I think that's what it means. People who don't wear masks are swimming in denial. But her main emphasis in the book is not on the suffering. Now remember, she comes from the tradition of creation spirituality, which was so strong with Hildegard of Bingen, the 12th century Renaissance abbess. And then Francis of Assisi came after her. Thomas Aquinas came after Francis. Mechtilde Magdeburg, a big E in the women's movement of the 13th century, came after Aquinas. And then came Meister Eckhart, whom we've already heard from this morning. And then came Julian. So she's part of a tree, a lineage of creation spirituality. And of course, we don't have time to go into this, but Jesus himself is from this tradition in Judaism, the wisdom tradition of Israel. And of course, the first book of the Bible, Genesis, the Yahwist author there, is creation-centered. And take another look, Genesis 1, by the way. I've just kind of become clear on this recently, that Genesis 1 does not say one word about sin. Not one word about sin. It's cosmology. It's about the wonder and the beauty and the giftedness of this world. And that's exactly where Julian lands. She talks all about the goodness of the world. And it begins in Genesis 1. Remember, the word good is repeated over and over with the creation of the sun and the moon and the plants and the animals and all that. And when humans come along, actually, the chapter winds up saying very good. So it's all about blessing, because original blessing, because blessing is the theological word for goodness. But we have to be aware of that. Now, the whole story about the fall and human failures and all that, that's chapter 2. So I've come to this conclusion recently. Someone, some sneaky person, has ripped out the first page of 95% of Christian preachers for centuries. They haven't read Genesis 1. And by the way, Genesis 1 parallels today's scientific story of creation, because that too has humans coming at the very end of the story. And all this other thing, the table was set for us fragile humans. It took 13.8 billion years. Now, obviously, the Bible writers didn't know that. No one knew this until this past century. Now let's get into Julian's principal teachings, which is about the goodness of the world. She says, God is the same thing as nature. God is the same thing as nature and the very essence of nature. Notice that. I mean, that's a tremendous statement. If you're going to know God, you're going to listen to the goodness of nature. The California poet Bill Everson says that most people experience God in nature or experience God not at all. So that is what Julian is saying. She says the first good thing is the goodness of nature. Now, this is in the midst of the pandemic, when nature was kind of coming after human beings, you might say. And still she's so deep and grounded. That's why she didn't freak out like these other people did. Now, Thomas Berry, the great geologian and scholar, real prophet of the eco movement, he says that the bubonic plague is what killed creation spirituality in the West, because before then, like, people found God in the sacredness of nature. All the people have been talking about, Hildegard and Francis and so forth. But with the bubonic plague, it spread so much fear of nature, that from then on, religion started not with the goodness of creation, not with Genesis 1, but with redemption, the fear of death and the fear of sin, etc., etc. So that is a very important historical shift in Western consciousness and certainly religion. And of course, 150 years after Julian came the Protestant Reformation. And no one can accuse Luther or Calvin or Zwingli of being optimists or of being trusting of nature. They never read Julian. By the way, yes, her book came out in the 14th century, but it wasn't published for 300 years. It didn't come out until the 17th century. Why? Because she was a woman, but also because she was creation-centered. And she was therefore optimistic. And the bubonic plague made everyone pessimistic and turned things over to patriarchy. And of course, the scariest thing that happened between her writing the book and the book being published was the Europeans went to Africa, went to the Americas, went to the Pacific Islands, and encountered all these indigenous people. And instead of praying with them, sitting with them about the beauty of nature and the grace of nature and how they teach their children about nature and the rest, they went after them with this one subject: are you saved? Are you saved? And so the distortion of Christian religion, of the missionary movement, the oppression, the subjugation, the colonialism of indigenous peoples, and slavery itself from Africa is directly related to this loss of what we really have in common, which is the sacredness of creation. When Genesis 1 ends with the words very good, I think that term very good can also be translated as sacred, something that is super good. Julian says, God is unending goodness and an endless goodness. And we are all born into a birthright of never-ending joy, she says. Never-ending joy. That is our birthright. That is our origin. And to behold God in all things is to live in complete joy. So to find the divine in nature, in all of it, this is to live in joy. And she says, the holiest of all prayer is a loving prayer of thanksgiving. The holiest of all prayer is a loving prayer of thanksgiving. Now, this is an echo of Meister Eckhart, who died, 15 years before she was born, who said, if the only prayer in your whole life you say is thank you, that would suffice. And it's also found in Thomas Aquinas, who came before Eckhart, who said the essence of religion is gratitude and special thanks. And there's this wonderful sentence in Julian I just love. She says, charged with the quality of reverence and loving awe, we turn ourselves with all our might toward the actions to which we are guided. I just love that word charged. Now, of course, she lived 600 years before electricity was talked about. Nevertheless, and so for us, I think it means even more, but it's a powerful word. See, she invented a lot of English words because she was the first English woman writer in English, and English as a language was just beginning. She was a contemporary of Chaucer. And together they launched our language, you might say. One word she invented was the word enjoy. She got that from a French word. She invented the word enjoy in English, and it's so central to her entire theology. Charged with the quality of reverence and loving awe, that's the via positiva, we turn ourselves with all our might toward the actions to which we are guided. So this is where we get our energy, from the via positiva, from love. Now, clearly she has this overall view of what she calls the wanting of God in us, O-N-E-I-N-G. Another word she invented. It's a wonderful one-word definition of mysticism. Mysticism is our wanting, the wanting with God, but also the wanting in nature. She says, God never began to love us. We've been loved from without beginning. And she said, between God and the human, there is no between. And I love that phrase. Between God and the human, there is no between. We are born in a relationship of wanting with the divine. And it comes back to us periodically. That's what our mystical lives are all about. Now, another dimension to her wanting is she celebrates non-dualism. She says, in our creation, we were knit and one to God. It is a precious wanting. And that prayer ones the soul to God. And that we partner with God and we weave and join both the mirth of life and the mourning in life. So she names the via positiva, the mirth, and the via negativa, the mourning, the suffering of life. Both of them, we want to approach non-dualistically, she's saying, because God is in it all. God is in the suffering. She derived that from her meditation on Christ and the cross, which she says actually she felt bliss ultimately in her meditation on Christ and the cross because he was giving so much to the world, so much truth. Now, one of the big dimensions for Julian that she is famous for is developing richly the motherhood of God, the divine feminine, therefore. No one until the late 20th century has a more richly developed understanding of the motherhood of God than does Julian. She says, God is our true father and our true mother. God delights to be our father, and God feels great delight to be our mother. But she doesn't stop there with God the Creator. She also talks about Jesus. She says, Jesus is our true mother, in whom we are endlessly carried, and out of whom we will never come. So she applies the feminine, the divine feminine, to the first person of the Trinity, the Creator, to the second, that is, to Jesus, and to the Spirit. And of course, Spirit in Hebrew, the word ruah is feminine. And she knew that. Eckhart and Aquinas knew that. The medievals knew that. And so she sees the feminine permeating all the levels of divinity and all the tasks of divinity. She says, compassion belongs to the motherhood of tender grace. Compassion protects, increases our sensitivity, gives life, and heals. And compassion is the primary work of motherhood and divine wisdom, and therefore it's a primary work of divinity. So she absolutely bakes the feminine into divinity and all its expression, and therefore into our work. And again, she's not throwing out God as Father, but she does critique toxic masculinity when she says, the church teaches that God is angry, but I don't see that. She says, I see anger and vengeance in people. I don't see anger and vengeance in God. So she is stepping back from the whole arena of a punitive fatherhood or a punitive father God. This too was one reason her book wasn't published for 300 years, not just because she was creation-centered, but because she brought the feminine in. And if you look over the writings of the 16th century, whether by the Protestants or the Catholics, there's not a lot of non-patriarchy in there. And then when her book was published in the 17th century, no one hardly paid attention. Really, it was too late. There had been several centuries of this raw patriarchy and conquering the indigenous people, who, by the way, have worship their religion has been understood as, quote, aboriginal mother love, unquote. That's one beautiful summation of indigenous, really aboriginal mother love. Well, there wasn't any room for that in the patriarchy, in the soldiers and the business people who wanted to rape the Americas, make slaves of the Africans, et cetera, et cetera. So Julian really did not have much impact. Florence Nightingale in the 19th century read Julian, and she accredits Julian with her vocation. Of course, Florence Nightingale we recognize as the mother of nursing, of the vocation of nursing. T.S. Eliot uses Julian in one of his important poems. But I think the time for Julian is now, the 21st century, because by bringing in the strength and immanence of the divine feminine, the motherhood of God, she is speaking to about, are we treating Mother Earth? She is speaking to what I call matricide or ecocide, our killing of Mother Earth, our killing of the mother. This is happening because patriarchy has gone so far for so long that it has drained us of our capacity for compassion and communing and finding the divine, the sacred in all of nature. Thomas Berry says that what's missing in so much ecological activism is a sense of the sacred, and that only the sacred will save us, he says. He says it's been said that we'll only save what we love, but in fact, he says, we'll only love what we recognize as sacred. And this is where Julian's teaching on the sacredness of the feminine and therefore the mother and Mother Earth and our powers and capacity for compassion that men and women bear within us. But we have to put it into our institutions, whether education or law or policing or politics or economics or religion. We have to consciously bring that in there, that sense of motherly compassion. Remember, the word for compassion, both in Hebrew and in Arabic, comes from the word for womb. So the mammal people, our genus of mammals, we bring a special level of compassion to the planet that other beings did not possess. Julian says, a mother's service is nearest, readiest, and surest. Nearest, readiest, and surest. And I think that was part of her awareness of seeing mothers dealing with their children. 1 out of 2 children died in the pandemic. Imagine that. So much suffering. Now, she's so non-dualistic too regarding our bodies. She says, God is in our sensuality. That's a quote. God is in our sensuality. Not too many popes have quoted that. There's a beautiful oneing made by God between the body and the soul, she says. God is a means whereby our substance and our sensuality are kept together. God has forged a glorious union between soul and body, a glorious union that is so distant from the dualism of patriarchy and Plato and Augustine and Neoplatonists. Augustine said the soul makes war with the body. Eckhart said the soul loves the body. And Julian says there's a glorious union God has forged between the soul and the body. Now, I could talk forever about Julian, but I want to end with this one teaching. Notice the cover of the book. It's actually, the original painting is here, done by a friend of mine. What's going on here? She had this vision, and she says in the palm of her hand, it's on page 40 of my book that I quote her and talk about it. She says, in the palm of my hand, I saw God showed me in my palm a little thing, round as a ball, about the size of a hazelnut. I looked at it with the eye. See, this is what the painting in the cover is talking about. I looked at it with the eye of my understanding and asked myself, what is this thing? And I was answered, it is everything that is created. In other words, the whole universe was in the palm of her hand. I wondered how it could survive, since it seemed so little. It could suddenly disintegrate into nothing. The answer came, quote, it endures and never will endure because God loves it. And so everything has being because of God's love. I just love that passage. It's about the cosmic Christ, isn't it? That the whole cosmos is glowing, beaming with divine love. And every atom in the cosmos and every being, including ourselves, we are beaming with this divine love. And that's why at the end of her book, she says, all things will be well, that God will see that all things will be well. So that ultimately the whole universe, and of course she had no clue, as we do today, the universe is 13.8 billion years old, young, and 2 trillion galaxies big, which is something we only learned a summer ago. 2 trillion galaxies big, each with hundreds of billions of stars, which means there are more stars in the universe than there are grains of sand on all the beaches of the earth. Imagine that. What's a star? Stars are big beings. Our sun, our star, can hold 1 million Earths. 1 million Earths. And so the universe that shrunk itself to be a size of a bean, of seed in Julian's palm, nevertheless, has this one message for us. It's kept together by love. That's Julian of Norwich. I hope you take more time to study her more deeply, because her time is now. She's been ignored for 7 centuries because she was a woman, because she was creation-centered, because she was a mystic. And as John Lewis said, we need this wisdom from the past today more than ever. So check her out.
Well, we certainly will. I'm just so excited about this conversation. I could sit here for hours and talk to you about this. Oh, she's amazing. You know, I felt it when you just first mentioned her last time you were with us, and so I'm really tuning in with her and feeling into this. Between God and human, there is no between. Isn't that
wonderful?
I mean, it's just,
says it all.
I just tingle. I just
Yeah.
tingle when you say
That's
that.
what mysticism is. Yeah.
Yeah. Tingling, the wanting and joy. I wrote these, God is in our sensuality, you know, and that just brings so much together that has been separated out from, you know, just our experience as a human body, you know, and just entwining all of this.
Exactly. Rosemary Ruether, the great feminist theologian, says that the basis of all patriarchy is dualism. So you see, Julian, by saying that, is pulling the rug out from under patriarchy. She is, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's why we need her today.
It's so, yes, I agree. And it feels so exciting. I just feel so excited with her. And so can't wait to get my hands on the book. It's going to be very soon. Everybody, we appreciate
It's an audio too. There's an audio book of it.
Okay. Yeah. So it's on Audible. And if you won't be seeing me on May 8th in the Bay Area, you can also go to the bookstore at matthewfox.org and use the code 5OFF, the number 5 OFF, to get $5 off the book. So that's another way that you can get your hands on the book sooner than May 8th. And also you can find Matthew's daily meditations on daily meditations with matthewfox.org. So you can connect in with Matthew in many ways. And I know that we are all wanting to do that because this conversation is so rich. It is so timely. It's so perfect. Phoebe says, such a lovely, luminous, heartwarming talk. Thank you, Matthew Fox. Yes, lots of gratitude here. Don says, this was absolutely wonderful. I'm glad to sit at your feet. Yes, just a mystic, Matthew Fox here with us. Yes, some scholars think that Genesis might hint at God as male, female. So God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God, he created them. Male and female, he created them. Genesis 1:27. Thank you for sharing. I'm greatly enjoying this, Father Matthew. Yes, lots of gratitude here this morning. So our hearts are full. The conversation is rich. I'm excited with it. And I think I see a book group on Julian of Norwich for sure. So many notes I was jotting down. Thank you. Thank you for bringing this to us. Thank you for allowing yourself to be the messenger of this wisdom. We are so
inviting me.
Deeply grateful. Deeply grateful. So happy you're here. Everybody, thank you for tuning in with us this morning. If your heart and spirit feel touched and expanded by our message, by our center, our community, please feel free to look at our giving page on brentwoodilc.org. Also today we will be connecting with our group on our connection link, which is also on our homepage, brentwoodilc.org. It's right there. You just go, you'll see Matthew's picture, and then to the right of that, you'll see the link, and you can jump in there, and we just chit chat and connect from 11:30 to 12:30. So I look forward to seeing you there. And it's just, my heart is just overflowing this morning, and I'm just feeling so much gratitude, Matthew. Thank you. Thank you for sharing with us. We are grateful. I'm going to close us with a prayer of transformation. The light of God surrounds us. I am light. The love of God enfolds us. I am love. The power of God directs us. I am power. The presence of God watches over us. I am presence. Wherever we are, God is and always shall be, and we are divine. Divine love. Shine on, bright ones. I love and appreciate all of you. Thank you, Matthew, for being with us. We are so full of gratitude, appreciation, much appreciation, love. Thank you. Thank you. See you all soon. Blessings.